Hey guys, it's your Ford Focus here, and today we're going to be reviewing the Apollo IE, the Lamborghini Veneno, the McLaren 570S, and the McLaren 675 LT. So anyways, let's get started in the review, starting with the Apollo Intensa Emo Zion. So the Apollo Intensa Emo Zion looks like it's from another planet. In fact, it probably even has some parts from another planet. That's how cool it looks. Now, max speed is a little disappointing, only at 208 miles per hour for its level, as the price tag is $5.4 million, 2.7 seconds, 0-60. So that's good. And a cashback of $1,385 a mile, which is a little higher than some of the other hypercars in the $4 million range. With a rear-wheel drive drivetrain. So anyways, let's purchase the Apollo IE. The Apollo IE has some of the coolest looking designs I've ever seen. In fact, the headlights and the rear lights look so cool in a pattern I never imagined before. And that's bonkers. You also see the pinwheel exhaust shape. And that's secondary color too. That's the good part about the Apollo IE in Ultimate Driving. If you choose your second color, whatever your second color is, then that can be your pinwheel exhaust shape on the Apollo IE. Rims look very cool. Secondary color on the middle there. Tires even look realistic. 20 Price is probably doing a realistic tire update as well. The carbon fiber on this too, very high in detail. The doors and windows look so cool that it looks like from another planet, with the huge wing as well. Now we must move on to the turn signals. By the way, the Apollo IE is a right-hand drive car. So just to let you guys know. The headlights. Seems like that the lining on top of the headlights is always on, but the circles inside of it don't. It depends whether you have your headlights on or not. Turn signals though. Oh, it's weird. You don't see any turn signals on the headlights, but on the rear, all you see is the wheel lights blinking. That's been interesting right there. But now, without further ado, let's do some performance test. We're going to start over at the road towards Woodbury. So acceleration at 0 to 100 and 0 full speed in 3, 2, 1, go. So it seems like in about 3 seconds, maybe 3 or 4, we got 0 to 100 and around 7 to full speed. So acceleration is just amazing on this. Maybe a little more towards 8 seconds. Handling on the Apollo IE is very light. It's good. And braking is fast as well. And now, here are my thoughts about the Apollo IE. The Apollo IE has very good acceleration, and cashback as well. It's just a little higher than some of the other hypercars. The only thing that's disappointing really is about the speed. Only going 208 miles per hour at a very high level like this. But it could probably really do good if you have advanced boost on the Apollo IE. And it has a boost animation as well from the pinwheel exhaust. But I say if you really like the Apollo IE's look and shape, then I say go for it. So the Lamborghini Veneno is the first ever roadster and convertible ever in ultimate driving. The first car that you'll ever find yourself with the roof open. Design also looks very cool, as we'll talk about once we buy a car. Max speed is 221 miles per hour, 356 kilometers, 2.9 seconds in 0-60. Second best cashback in the game, as is the second most expensive car in the game, $1,487 a mile, and all-wheel drive drivetrain. $9 million for its asking price, also beating the McLaren F1. The only car that beats the Veneno's price is the Bugatti Divo. So now, let's get into the Veneno. The design on the Lamborghini Veneno has some cool touches. I really like the fact that it's the first convertible ever to be on ultimate driving. You could easily see the seats and the interior. Doors making a cool touch as well. The accents. The grille. Lighting. It's just really like the design on the Veneno. Very realistic. The wheels too. Again, perhaps it's just all the wheels, but yeah. Now turn signals. On the rear it just has the lights blinking. But on the front, the small little lights down there, the yellow circles, carefully go along with the headlights. That's what the headlights are. Pretty much. On the wheel light though, it has a cool Y shape on each side. Now let's go to the performance test. So we'll start over here. In 3, 2, 1, go. So it's about 5 seconds in 0-100 and perhaps 12 for 0 full speed. Braking? It's okay. 4,800 experience points for every mile you make. Let's see how handling does. Handling's just a little heavy, but seems to be okay as well. But one disappointing thing about the Venenos when you grind, it's a wall hugger. It loves to hug walls, like the McLaren F1 Longtail does. But at least you get the experience in convertible. That's right. You get to have your head open out in the sunshine with the Veneno. You don't see this in any other car, but you do in the Veneno. 20 Pilots will probably eventually make more convertibles. But my thoughts about the Veneno, I say it's a pretty good car. It's okay, though you gotta be careful when you're grinding because it is a wall hugger. So I would go for the Divo over than the Veneno. The Veneno still looks very good. And it has the second best cashback, but the second most expensive car as well. As I'm seeing Veneno over the fender that splits into two. So now, let's move on to the McLaren 570S. The McLaren 570S has some very high detail, and especially in the interior as well. The 570S has a max speed of 204 miles per hour, 325 kilometers, 3 seconds in 0-60, $864 a mile cashback, rear-wheel drive drivetrain, and a price of $377,200. So now, let's experience the 570S. The McLaren 570S looks very good. To be honest with you, 22 Pilots did a very good job matching the McLaren logo on both sides. We like the rims as well. The carbon fiber that goes along the doors. The side mirror, in fact, has a small turn signal. The 570S badge engraved under the door. There's just lots of good parts to the 570. And I say it's one of my favorite supercars of all time in its series. It's the most affordable McLaren you can ever get. Engine bay also looks very realistic. And the interior as well. Some very high detail in it. Because 22 Pilots has a strong love for McLarens. So, yeah, you see detail on the vents, the odometer, the gauge system, with the navigation, all that. The turn signals on the McLaren 570S. So, it does not blink on the McLaren 570S rear lights as the McLaren logo. We're going to have to go to the side, and that's where it blinks. On the front of the McLaren 570, it also never blinks on the headlights, just the sides. So probably a little awkward for turning, but still very high detail. The headlights, you see there. But now let's stop talking about the detail and see how good the 570S performs. So 0 to 100 and full speed in 3, 2, 1, go. So in about 5 or 6 seconds, probably just a little over 6 seconds, you get 0 to 100, and then it's about 12 for full speed. That's pretty good. Though I can see the acceleration being a little faster, and it's good cashback as well. Boost animation, also very good, coming out of the 2 exhaust pipes from the bottom. Braking, decent. You get some good out of it. And we'll do handling at the turn of Kensington. 489 experience points for every mile you make with this. Handling's good. May have to do a little bit of braking, but yeah, this does a good job with the handling. Now it's time to express my thoughts about the McLaren 570S. It looks very nice, in my opinion, honestly. More detailed than the McLaren 12C as its price range. And you get to look at the interior as well. Some very high detail. 22 Pies is probably going to have more detailed interiors, especially for McLarens in the future. And being that this is one of my favorite supercars of all time in its series, I really enjoy it. And if you're gonna grind, after you get the Porsche Boxster, maybe a Corvette, Viper, one of those cars, if you ever think about grinding for the McLaren 12C or the Saleen S5S, I say go for a 570S instead. There's more detail, it's faster, more cashback, very good. It's only $2,200 more than the McLaren 12C. So I say this car is really worth it. Now, let's move on to the other McLaren, as it will be the last car for part 1 in the ultimate driving review for this update. The McLaren 675 LT. So McLaren 675 LT is the more expensive McLaren in the update, with a top speed of 205 miles per hour, 330 kilometers. So it's like some other McLarens. 2.9 seconds in 0 to 60, so it's just 0.1 second faster in acceleration than the 570 is. $1,051 a mile, which is 10 more than the Lamborghini Huracan Performante, wheel-wheel drivetrain, and $699,000 for its asking price. So now, let's move on to review. So now let's talk about the McLaren 675 LT and its detail. McLaren 675 LT strongly shapes its McLaren logo in a different way, as it's older than the 570S, yet newer than the 650, and stands for Longtail, probably a name that will be succeeding the McLaren F1 Longtail. So yeah, the wheel lights are just like the 650S GT3. It's very likely for McLaren to make McLarens look like that in their generation. Wings also good as well, but it's not movable. None of the supercars have movable wings in this update, nor the hypercars. The turn signals, though, let's go into that. Just a top light on the rear blinks and small yellow circles in the headlights. Though the McLaren 675 LT wheels, they're realistic. No, it's a little dark, but should have 675 LT engraved on the bottom of the wheels. And it does, in fact, under the door. 675 LT is actually engraved on the wheels. I just had to move a bit of an inch because it was on the top part of the wheel. But yes, we enjoy the realistic wheel engraving as well. Now, for the last car of part 1 in the review, let's do performance on the 675 LT. 0-100 in full speed in 3, 2, 1, go. So, in about 5-6 seconds, 0-100, but 9 in full speed. This has good acceleration. In fact, maybe it's a little less than 5 seconds. Braking is good as well. Decent. And handling. Let's find that out. A little heavy, but it's good. 650 XP for every mile you make in the McLaren 675 LT. And now, it's time to express my thoughts about the 675 Longtail. So the 675 Longtail was another McLaren I was really excited for. In fact, I was thinking that the 675 and 650 will all be out one day. And yes, it did in fact came true. This is also a little faster than the Huracan Front Monte by 3 miles per hour. I compared that along because its cashback is a little like, but this gives 10 more. But the engraving on a 675 LT is just beautiful. Engraved under the doors and somewhere on the wheels, you'll find the 675 LT badge. And here's a quick boost animation as well. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoy the video very much. You may like this video. Comment in the box below for your thoughts about all the cars in this update. The Apollo IE, the Lamborghini Veneno, the McLaren 570S, and finally the McLaren 675 LT. And I say that the 675 LT is a very good car to drive. But yes, what are your thoughts? Join my Discord server located in the description and you may subscribe. Bye.